Hey all. So this is a recording of me contextualizing our final portfolio. Since Tuesday's class is canceled, I just wanted to have y'all review this video and then you'll do a little quiz, just again, making sure that you understand what's going to be going into our final. And part of the quiz will help you brainstorm for a draft of the cover letter, which will be due by next week's final class. And I'll talk more about that in a little bit. But basically, so obviously, we have a prompt for the final portfolio. On the first sheet, it's just basically giving the legalese of what our final is. And then the second sheet is getting into the cover letter, which is an aspect of our final. So before I get into what our final will entail, I legally have to say this information. So our final portfolio is worth a combined 200 points or 20% of your overall grade in the course. And per the prompt right here, students must submit a final portfolio to pass the class. So even if you have done all of the work or a majority of the work from, the first day of our semester up until, the final next Tuesday, April 28th, our final class. If you do not submit a final portfolio, you will not pass English 1. This is really, really important. And as I'll get into in a second, this is the one assignment that I will not accept late portfolios. So your final will be due Wednesday, May 6th at 12 noon. So just to contextualize, our final class is next Tuesday, April 28th, and then we'll be having a final 027 Thursday session on Thursday, April 30th. And then the final is the following Wednesday, which is May 6th. Okay, so we are really barreling towards the end of the semester. And during our final class next week, we'll go over, general formatting, how it should look on the page, just to make sure we're all good, with that. And so just, y'all can focus on content moving forward. But there will be a separate assignment link. And I ask that the two requirements are in one document, beginning with your final revised cover letter, which will be out of 50 points, and then your final revised research paper, which is out of 150. So basically, the draft number 2 that you hopefully submitted this past Sunday night, that is out of 100 points. I will be grading it or reading it, grading it, and then providing feedback. And then you will take that feedback and further revise one more time for this final. And you'll notice that, it's worth 50 more points this time around as well. So again, for multiple reasons, this is a very important, just final revisions of both the research paper and the cover letter. And as I said up here, or as it's written up here, no late portfolios will be accepted. So after Wednesday the 6th at 12 noon, not end of day Wednesday, but noon when the sun is highest in the sky, if it happens to be a sunny day, the assignment link will disappear. This is, we only get X amount of days to do our final grading. I need to be extremely strict about this final due date. And then the only other assignments that I will be accepting by that same date and time are if you have missed any of our 5 check-in journal entries, we will be completing our final excuse me, our final check-in number 5 during next Tuesday's final class. So, go back, double check, have I missed any, 1 through 4? And if you have, you can go back and complete those, submit them, and I will give you those extra points. But no other assignments will be due by our final due date. Okay. So if we scroll down to the flip side of the paper or the second page, this is where I talk about our reflective cover letter. So a draft of this will be due by next Tuesday. And like I said before, part of the quiz is basically designed for you to do a little bit of brainstorming beforehand. But I just want to plug here that, again, anybody is always welcome to come on Thursdays. For our Thursday crew, we'll be doing in-class brainstorming, talking about ideas for our cover letters. So if anybody else is able to join us, y'all are always welcome, or come see me during office hours this week. So basically, this final cover letter is designed for y'all to reflect on all of the work that we've done across the entire semester. So I have some specific questions up here that, again, will maybe help with that reflection. How have you developed as an academic reader and writer? And this cover letter is designed for you to reflect on 2 to 4 specific reading and writing techniques that you have felt you have either gotten better at with all of the projects we've completed, or reading and writing techniques that you're still kind of working on. So just to give you some examples, I traditionally have students think about the previous research paper that we all completed. We did a lot of brainstorming for that research paper, which is, a writing technique. We did the, umbrella brainstorm activity. Y'all completed a prospectus. You began researching. And then whenever you found your topic, you continued that writing process and whatever that looked like to you. Obviously, you know what that writing process looked like the best out of everybody. So any step from the initial brainstorm, umbrella, kind of activity we did in class, all the way through writing maybe your thesis statement, again, that researching, knowing what sources were credible, knowing what sources maybe were not that credible, to drafting, the first draft or whatever you had for our in-class workshop day a couple weeks ago, to, whatever it took for you to get from draft number 1 to draft number 2. And then, submitting draft number 2, right, as a complete unified paper. So any step along that way, it most likely kind of speaks to a specific reading or writing technique. And so, when you think about all of the things that you feel as if you have gotten better at, maybe that's MLA or knowing how to, again, general formatting for a paper. Maybe it's research. Maybe it's brainstorming ideas. Maybe it's thinking about topics that you do want to look more into. Maybe it's presenting. We all presented our rhetorical analysis project, right? Maybe it's writing about yourself in journal entries, or our narrative essay, summarizing sources, right? We did that with the SRI. You continue to do that, with this research paper. Again, anything that we have completed from day 1 till, kind of present day is up for grabs. I just ask that you focus on 2 to 4 specific reading and writing techniques, just to help, really, focus on these for the majority of your cover letter here. So whenever you solidify, I want to write about, these 4, we'll say. For each technique, you're first going to define it. So again, I have everything bolded that are sort of, again, the focal points. How might you properly define or explain the techniques so that an outsider would understand? Now, I don't need like a, this dictionary definition, but, think about what does brainstorming mean? Kind of explain or talk us through what that process is. Because the idea is that you'll spend a body paragraph per technique. Okay, so you have some room to kind of play around with the definitions. And then after you define them, you want to talk about their significance. So, why is this technique important to you? How did you utilize it with, maybe this specific assignment? Or if it's something that you want to focus on in regards to the research paper, right? What did it improve for the reading, writing, advising, basically the writing process of the research paper? And keep in mind that you might want to talk about one or two things that you are feeling a lot more confident in, and maybe one or two that you're still working with. Because the final question, and basically this will turn into your conclusion, is now that we're done with English 1, right? Look ahead to next semester or upcoming coursework that you have to take, whether it's at Northampton, another institution, if and when we transfer, whatever, our journeys might look like in the future. And for the conclusion paragraph, I want you to reflect on how can I transfer the techniques I've learned here into other courses, or potentially, again, maybe further down the road, your chosen major or career path. Basically, how might have learning these techniques helped you more than just passing English 1? Traditionally, a lot of students, and this might be the majority of us in this class as well, we know we have to take English 2 next semester, or maybe we're taking it over the summer. Just to give y'all a little preview, because I also teach English 2, it's more reading and writing, right? But it's more so focused on literature, depending on the English 2 that you have to take. So knowing that, you'll probably, if you need to take English 2 or any other sort of gateway or gen ed that requires at least one, main paper, knowing you'll have to continue researching, putting your ideas on the page, right? How can you continue developing the techniques that maybe you're still, again, kind of working on? And so when it all comes down to it, again, this is first person reflective. You are more than welcome to use I. It's kind of required, right? You want to aim for 2 to 3 pages. And then everything else, standard MLA, make sure you have a creative title. And then a draft of this, like I said before, will be due by our final class, which is next Tuesday. And unfortunately, because of timing, there will not be one last workshop for a draft of this cover letter. So as long as you submit it on time, you'll automatically receive the final 25 workshop points. And for those of us that might have missed one in the past, this is really important to get some of those points back, right? But, if you do have any specific questions about your cover letters, I will obviously review them, but I will not have the time to give you like annotated feedback. But I'm more than happy to sit with you during office hours or after class. Or again, email me specific questions. I'm more than happy to respond with some answers that way as well. But yeah, so that is the cover letter. Like I said before, the quiz you'll be completing after you are done watching this video. There will be a couple questions for y'all to begin brainstorming. But please, again, keep in mind that this is all to prepare us for our final portfolio, which is a big chunk of our final grade. So like always, please don't hesitate to reach out with any questions or concerns. And if I don't see you on Thursday, have a lovely rest of your week, and I'll see you next week for our final class. Bye.